Hey, what's up, guys? And welcome back to a brand new Pick a Side live reaction. We are here after the Denver Nuggets forced a game 7 against the OKC Thunder. And my goodness, we might as well name this the Julian Strawther game. How are you feeling, John?
I'm feeling great. I get a game 7. I get more great elite hoops in the postseason, and I get my Nuggets in a game 7. And felt like after last year, this duo and this team can right some wrongs.
Love that, man. John, I gotta, just peel back the curtain a bit. I asked you today, we did some pre-recorded content in the studio, and I was like, John, how you feeling about the game? Expecting John to be like, you know what, man, I got Nikola Jokic, I got Jamal Murray, I got Aaron Gordon. We're going defending home court. But John was very stoic, and he was like, you know what, man, at this point in my life, I don't really care what happens. He's like, I'm not going to get too low after a loss. I'm not going to get too high after a high. And I was like, you know what, John, I can respect that. With the smile on his face I'm seeing right now, this brother's riding a high. I'm excited for game 7, man.
I'm excited for game 7 too. Denver, the contributions they got from everybody. This was the complete opposite of game 5, where we were left wondering, why did nobody else show up in the fourth quarter when Nikola Jokic? They went 1 for 15. They didn't shoot the ball well. MPJ played 28 minutes and had 10 points. He made solid contributions, but clearly the shoulder is bothering him. And I think MPJ has gotten a lot of unnecessary criticism thrown his way. It is very hard to play basketball with the shoulder injury that he has. He's going to have bad performances. You kind of live with the volatility, but in the regular season, he had a career year. And I don't think that can be forgotten about. And right now, it's clear that the injury is affecting him. Aaron Gordon only has 5 points, but Jokic goes for 29, 14, and 8. Christian Brown, 23 points, 3 for 6 from 3. Jamal Murray has 25 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Julian Strawther, 15 points. A big reason why MPJ didn't close is because Julian Strawther was amazing. This is exactly what they needed. And I'm ready to say, Jamal Murray, certified playoff performer. Only last year was the real playoff run that he played poorly in, and he was hurt. Every other playoffs that he's been healthy, he's played at a star or a superstar level. And I think Murray has reclaimed that title of being a playoff riser with the way that he showed up in this series in the first round. I got to hand it to him. But I do think the biggest difference in this game was Julian Strawther and being able to rely on another body in the closing lineup that can add spacing, because that was the issue with Russ and Payne Watson. And we were unsure we were going to get this from Strawther, and we ended up getting it.
You asked me after game 5, when is the Julian Strawther minutes going to go up? And I said, maybe we'll see in the non-Shea minutes. Today, he was great. And it feels like he came with confidence. He came with aggression. And like you highlighted, Russ got off to a very poor start. And Peyton Watson brought a ton of energy today. That being said, he did go 1 of 7 from the field. And so the Nuggets sorely needed some sort of spark off the bench. And they got that in the second half, where he's not only scores 15 points, but the timely spacing, it was what allowed them to turn into a double-digit lead. And I think the other two players that, like you kind of briefly mentioned, deserve a lot more credit. Jamal Murray coming this game, a flu game of sorts, has a 4-point play right off rip on the second possession, accounts for most of the team's points, whether it was assists, whether it was points in the first quarter, and that gave a very much-needed high to kind of flow into the second half where they're able to take the lead. And then Christian Brown today, 23 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 8 of 14 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3. Big games, big moments. Christian Brown delivers every single time.
John, we've been Christian Brown guys for years at this point now, right? We both love Christian Brown. We love his game, what he brings to the sport, what he brings to the team. There's some intangibles about him that sometimes just don't show up on the box score. But man, today was all over the box score. Christian Brown was hitting some big shots, especially in that first half. And talk about Jamal Murray. Last season, I'm just going through his numbers. Against Minnesota, of course, 7-game series. He only has 2 games where he scores more than 20 points. One of those games was the game 7. He has 35 in. But he has multiple games of 10 or less points, right? Including game 2 where he drops 8, game 6 where he drops 10. In this series against OKC, he already has 4 games scoring 20 plus, and he still has 1 more game to go. And the way he's been playing this year, I wouldn't be surprised if that was 5. So I definitely think last season was more so due to the injury he was dealing with, rather than him just not being a playoff performer. Because we saw the year prior, he was going in after that championship run. We're like, oh, this is the best Robin in basketball, right? This was a guy that was super efficient, average 10 assists. He was awesome the year prior. So it's not, looking back on it now that we have the hindsight, it really does feel like last year was just more of a off year because of injury more than anything. But talk about this game. Julian Strawther, of course, is the biggest key contributor for Denver down the stretch. The fourth quarter had been awful for Denver majority of the series. Even in the clutch games they win, it felt like that it was more OKC just really shitting their pants in those clutch moments, more so than Denver just like taking a game or dominating the fourth quarter, because they showed the graphic like they were getting outscored by like 30 something points so far in the series in the fourth quarter. And of course, some of them are like garbage time and whatnot. But regardless, Denver really showed up in the second half of this game. Obviously, a must win. The one thing I am concerned about is just Aaron Gordon and his hamstring. Towards the end of the game, he was favoring it pretty heavily. And of course, Aaron Gordon, although didn't have the best game from like a stat line perspective, we know how impactful he's been for this team these entire playoffs. If it wasn't for Aaron Gordon, they would not be in the situation. They'd be probably sitting their ass home right now. Talk about OKC. Shea was phenomenal. Once again, he was super efficient, 32 points, 6 assists, giving you a typical Shea stuff. J-Dub is a different conversation. He's had an interesting playoffs so far, I think it's fair to say. He had, was that game 3 when he dropped 30 after coming off a bad game, but he's been pretty terrible. I mean, 3 for 16 tonight, really could not get anything going. He was missing just some wide open looks. Some of it I think is process, but some of it is just he is missing shots. He had that 32-point game in game 3. Game 4, he has 10. Game 5, he has 18. Game 6 tonight, he has 6 points. And by far his worst game. I don't know by far. He was 2 for 13 in game 5. Or game 4, excuse me. 16 points in the series, 33% from the field, 21% from 3. He's been a bit of a disaster for this team. And if he performs similarly how he's had in these last 3 games in a game 7, and the Thunder lose, of course, the talks about them moving off J-Dub potentially for a big swing, whether that's a Kevin Durant, Giannis, you name the superstar, it's really going to heat up, because for OKC to go back-to-back years being the number 1 seed, having the best net rating in NBA history this year, and potentially losing in the second rounds, I do think the pressure is going to get turned up on that front office and that organization to make a move. Of course, game 7, he goes out there and has an efficient 25. This all goes away. But what we've seen so far from J-Dub is he's a young player. He doesn't feel ready for the moment, but the rest of this team kind of does, right? Like Shea does. Shea had another good game today, right? The rest of this team, Caruso, they feel like they're ready to take that step. But if J-Dub's not there with them, we could see him be playing for another team next year.
J-Dub last year in the first round averaged 21, and then in the second round dropped to 17. In these playoffs, in the first round, he averaged 23. In this round, he's averaging 16. He's shooting 34% from the field and 21% from 3. He's been awful. There's no other way to put it. One game, he was amazing. Outside of that, he hasn't been good. I think that the media can put more pressure on these young teams than sometimes we think is actually there. If you are OKC, if you're Sam Presti, you have a ton of picks. You have these players on young deals. They are a victim of their own success, and that's the harsh reality.
Yep.
Had they, a couple years ago, when they were a playing team, had they made the leap into a playing team, into what the Rockets just did, let's say even lower, let's say they're just the 5th seed, and they lost in the first round. We shake their hand, and it's a fantastic season. You guys weren't supposed to be here. You took a noticeable leap. If this past season they get the first seed and lose in this situation, we're not nitpicking them as much as we would had they not been the first seed in the last 2 years. I think that's the big thing. They have been a dominant number 1 seed over the last 2 years. This past year, they took it to a different level, being historic. All the spreadsheets, all the numbers, all the advanced analytics would point to this team being the team that represents the West. But I think there are some clear and obvious flaws with the roster that J-Dub is getting a lot of slack for, because he's not playing well. And I think he's a part of the problem. I think he's relying on too many tough jumpers. That mid-range near the foul line area jumper he likes to take leaning back that fell just super short tonight. And I feel like he relies on those tough shots. Isaiah Joe has been a no-show. They desperately need his shooting. Aaron Wiggins, he's giving you 10, 12 minutes, but he's not really making much of a swing in games outside of one game. I believe that was in game 4. I just feel like OKC banked too much on what they had when there were obvious signs to go get better players. They banked on Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins, who after 2025 were amazing. But I always thought that Cam Johnson was the obvious trade destination for them and the trade target. Adding a veteran player like him who can shoot the ball, who can handle, who can pass a little bit, that would have made a world's difference. Somebody who's been in big games before, that would have made a world's difference. Outside of Shea, I don't trust nobody else on this team to consistently create offense. And that's my biggest problem with them right now. And I have serious question marks about how they're going to respond to a game 7, because you mentioned it, Dels. They're feeling the pressure, I'm pretty sure. They want to act like they're not as much as possible, but when the entire world is looking at you as a favorite for the last 2 years and you disappoint in the second round each season, there is going to be chatter, especially when there's a player as great as Giannis available on the trade market. And there's one team that has a boatload of things they can throw at them. They're going to be feeling the pressure. And for me, I just really question how J-Dub's going to look. Is he going to look tight in game 7 and start missing everything? How Chet's going to look? Even Shea. Last year he was dominant in the playoffs, but this year I think he can be a little bit up and down. But I think as of recently, he has really figured out how to attack Denver's defense. It's been everybody else that's kind of lagging behind. Game 7 is going to be a huge test for this team. And I think if they lose game 7, we might see a different roster next year, and they might make some big changes.
This was a game to me which I felt like kind of extended off the last year's second round versus the Mavericks. And I do believe at some point, J-Dub's been playing uncharacteristically bad as a scorer. He's going to figure it out. No matter how bad of a tough shot maker you are, you will have a bounce back game. So I don't want to make a sweeping declaration and have him enter season in game 7. But in the last 3 games, J-Dub is 10 of 43 from the field. That is 23%. And he's been playmaking. He's been getting some rebounds. He's been doing some of the other things. But when you're a second option on a team in Oklahoma City that's had very streaky shooting, it's been a similar story with Nuggets. You need him to have a higher floor. I feel like with Jamal Murray, even in the off nights, he's finding a way to still make an impact to the score, slowly but surely. But this is a series that, like you highlighted, I feel like at a certain point in time, you can't really defend the way that he is playing. And for Oklahoma City, he is kind of holding them back. On the offensive end today, I mean, you can maybe point some of the blame on Chet and some of the other players in the fourth quarter who are struggling from three-point land. I think that's valid, and it's fair to highlight that. But it comes back to J-Dub both being in his own head, not being as aggressive, and then not getting enough, I feel like, quality, consistent looks. So 0 of 4 from 3 today is not getting to the foul line at all. And I think on top of those two things, you really see him losing confidence. Joel, you tweeted the transition gaff. He kind of rushed a layup, then slow down. And it's simple things I think he can correct, but this did cost them at least a game here in the series.
Do you guys see Denver losing game 7?
They could. Listen, after game, was it game 4 when it was 2-2? I thought this was going to go 7 games. I felt like both teams had shown up to that point that they could figure things out about each other. Even when the Thunder went up 3-2, I was like, I don't think Denver is going to be losing at home. Game 7 is going to be tough. It's going to be a tough environment. They are, them being OKC, a younger team who hasn't been in this situation. And Denver, they showed the stat. They have 9 wins facing elimination since 2020, which is tied for the second most in the NBA over that span. So Denver definitely has the experience factor. OKC is going to have the home crowd going for them. I definitely think Denver thrives on their crowd. Both of these teams really thrive. They have 2 of the best, home arenas in the NBA. But one thing you said, Joel, was interesting. It's just being a victim of your own success. And that's really what the Thunder, what they feel like. And it's also Shea too, right? Like, it's hard to find an MVP in recent years that, assuming Shea's the MVP, that like the team around him is this young. Like typically when you have an MVP, like you are the top seed, but usually have veterans around you, right? Like usually your number 2 is not J-Dub at like 24 years old, right? You usually have more established guys around you. So it's just a pretty unique situation for a guy like Shea to be in, where the team probably feels some pressure to put a more experienced team, assume maybe if they lose again, it's so easy to overreact after every playoff game. Like after they won game 6, it's like, oh, they're going to their first WCF, and then they lose game 6, and it's like, oh, they're going to lose, right? So I don't want to overreact too much, but in the world where they do end up losing in this hypothetical, there's probably more pressure than normal. But this game was really just losing on the margins for the Thunder, right? It's how a lot of playoff games go. But the Nuggets shot twice as many free throws. They got, let me see how many rebounds. They out rebounded them 52-40. They did have a few less turnovers than them. But overall, the Nuggets just did the little things. And then again, like I talk about all the time in the Knicks and Celtics series, but closing quarters, like the second quarter, the OKC is up 12 points with 2 minutes left to go. Shea picks up the fourth foul. It was a frustration foul. It was a stupid foul, but he picked up that fourth foul with 2 minutes left to go. And all of the momentum they had absolutely zapped. And it was a 3-point game going into halftime when it was just a 12-point game 2 minutes ago. Same thing in the third quarter. It was a 2-point game with 2 minutes left. And then Denver goes on a very small, but it's a 6-0 run. And now it's an 8-point game going into the fourth quarter. Denver hits a 3 to start off the fourth, and it's an 11-point game with like 10 minutes to go. Those little things, like if it just goes the other way and it's OKC that goes on that 6-0 run, all of a sudden they're up 4 points and they hit the 3, they're up 7 points. It's been these little things throughout all of the playoffs that we could see, but specifically in these games, it's just if you can just close and open these quarters just a little bit better than the other team and you're able to gain that momentum, like they fought towards the end, and I credit them for that. Like it felt like the game was over with like 4 minutes. Then you look up, it's like, oh, it's a 10-point game, it's a 7-point game, and they stuck in it to the very end. But it was really those end of quarter situations for Denver that they were able to either cut into a lead or extend their lead going into halftime and the fourth quarter that really made the difference today.
Absolutely. I think to answer that question, Joel, about Game 7, it solely depends on Aaron Gordon's health because he's irreplaceable. I mean, the way that he's played this postseason, he leads the entire playoffs in offensive rebounding. And in this series especially, I mean, you've seen him consistently hit shots from deep. If you're leaving him open, he's been one of their most clutch players. Their second most important player.
Well, he
And
had
I
5
think
points that they won today.
that
about
is a
score.
testament to the supporting cast stepping
What's
up,
his
which you
plus minus?
cannot count on consistently. Julian Strawther scoring consistently 15 points in the playoff game. Christian Brown is excellent tonight.
Plus
It was arguably his
17.
best game of this postseason. It's hard to expect all of those guys to continue playing as well as they did. So if you lose Aaron Gordon for Game 7, I don't feel great at all. And I do feel like it's a pretty big concern when you look at after having this calf issue all season long, tonight he deals with a hamstring issue because that can deal, even if you have 2 games before a Sunday Game 7, that's something that can linger, and that's something he could be dealing with to a point where he may be out there and he may not be himself. So I'm hoping his calf and his hamstring are right, because if not, I don't think the Nuggets are going to be able to win.
I'm just thinking of a team that last year lost in Game 7 after blowing a 20-point lead. And it's hard for me to believe that they're going to blow a second straight Game 7 to get to the conference finals. I got Denver. I think they're moving on.
So you're
I wish you
switching.
took-
You
I wish
you
were
took
OKC
Oklahoma-
in 6 2
Can
days
you take
ago.
Oklahoma City?
I have Denver.
Can you take Oklahoma City?
I have Denver, John.
What if I paid you to take Oklahoma City? Would you,
I wouldn't take it because I'm a man of integrity. I always stick to my picks.
You
That's bad
are
news.
legitimately flopping currently.
All right, Joel, Aaron Gordon's out Game 7. Who are you taking?
He's not going to be out.
This is a bad look.
I don't want to play
This
the
is not going to go well.
hypothetical game.
I mean,
They
the
have an
hamstring
extra
issue.
day of rest. Friday, they don't play. Saturday, they don't play. They play Sunday. This is a veteran team with an extra day of rest. We just seen J-Dub has looked like a deer in headlights for the last couple of games. You don't think that the Game 7 nerves are going to get to them? A lot of these players,
do.
Said that after
Game
Game
7
5.
nerves are going to get to them. John,
Or Game
I
4.
don't trust OKC in Game 7. I think the pressure is going to get to them. I trust Shea. I don't know what I'm getting out of J-Dub. I don't know what I'm getting out of Chet. And I think the Julian Strawther minutes were huge for them. It added another
Two-
spacer to their lineup.
He was
My
great.
only-
Yeah,
my-
sorry, real quick, John. To be fair, we said the same thing about OKC after Game 3 when they blew the fourth quarter lead, and it's like,
No.
holy shit, they can do it in the clutch, and then they went back to back, or right? No, they won the next game. No, they won back to back games. Yeah, they won Game 5.
But
and
now
Game
it's 3-2 in the clutch time because Denver has
Quarter
won
into
a clutch
Game 5.
game.
You said that they weren't ready a quarter into game 5. That's why I'm anxious. I can't have you taking the Nuggets in game 7. It's not going to end
Oh,
well.
believe it. I have the Nuggets, and
Oh,
maybe
God.
you should grow a pair of balls and take them too.
I'm thinking logically. And I
What
want
i-
my team to win.
And the logical thinking is that Denver's defense has turned around, and you have more proven playoff performers than OKC does. You're worried about Shea, but guess what? Jokic is the best player in that game. Jokic is
I-
going to have the best game. You think
I
that
agree.
Jokic is going to go out sorry? He's going to have 40, 20, and 10.
I hope. But if Aaron Gordon's not healthy, I'm not confident in this Nugget team. I know
He's
they
going to
cannot.
be fine.
It's a
Well,
hamstring
the
issue.
Dr. Moran over here.
Yep.
He's going to be fine.
There's a lot of concern. David Allen after the game said he doesn't know exactly what it is, but it's high level of concern. And I would be very concerned
He
because
said high level of concern.
yes. And he was
That's bad
limping,
news.
did not look good at all. So
Just pretend that he will, or
no, I'm not pretending this
How
is
about
going to go away. You saw
under
James Harden.
under
That's your
the
goat.
under the assumption that he is fine.
I can't take that assumption.
Who
Just
wins in
look-
Game 7?
If it was a perfect world, I would take your assumption. But a hamstring injury this deep into the postseason is a valid
Have some
question.
belief in your team. In the
It's
first
been hurt
round,
all season.
in
It's been
the
hurt
first
the entire
first
postseason.
round, John, there was a report that came out that said Aaron Gordon could barely jump, and you said
He didn't.
I'm off Denver. I got the Clippers winning the series.
I didn't say that at any point.
You
I said
implied
we're
it.
done. I
You-
said
yeah,
we're
you
done.
were done. Yeah, you implied it.
But guess what happened the next game? Aaron Gordon looked just fine. I said, okay.
Okay,
alright,
so
we're
he
good.
might just be fine here. So believe in your team a little bit. Believe in Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon's going to be out there. FPJ has been playing through a sprained AC joint, and he's given 28
Both are
minutes.
forwards.
Aaron Gordon, listen, next series against Minnesota, it might linger. And I got Minnesota making a final, so it's nothing new here. That series is going to matter against Minnesota, but Game 7, OKC, I think they could beat them. I got them. I got the Nuggets.
Maybe I can reverse the jinx if I take the Thunder in 7.
It can't hurt.
Yeah.
Thunder and 7 for John? No way. Just please tell me this is not true. Please tell me we have not been watching the same teams, man. Game
This
4
is
and
a
game
very close series. I
I'll
don't
say
know how you can feel confident.
game five. I thought OKC most impressive victory of the series, and they earned that clutch time victory. But Denver still went 1 for 15 from the field. The game before that, OKC won in the clutch. They had some boneheaded plays late. It's just Denver, another game where they were not able to shoot well, and Jokic shot 7 for 22 in that game. I'm thinking if they don't have an abomination shooting wise in the fourth, and Jokic is playing like Jokic, which in Game 7 the stakes are on the line, I believe he will play. I just don't see this young OKC team beating Denver. I got Denver winning.
Damn. I still think the Thunder are going to get it done. This hamstring injury is concerning. I don't know how you could be like, he'll be fine against the Thunder in 2 days.
I see.
But in 5 days against Minnesota, he's screwed. I don't know how that logic works. It's a new one for me. But I don't know. I think this has been a close series either way. I can't blame anyone for going in either direction. I don't know if you could have like real 100% confidence in either direction, because you could look at all 6 games and you could point at specific things, whether it's shooting variance, clutch time stats, stars playing well, role players playing well, them playing poorly. You could look at every game and be able to point things out for either side. But I think the Thunder being at home is really what's going to matter here. A young team being at home, that gives me more confidence. If this game was in Denver, Game 7 was in Denver, I would have more confidence Denver getting
Aren't
it done.
home teams like
Under 500.
under
That's close to
500 in the
today.
playoffs?
Coming to today,
They are.
that was the stat. Yep. And
How many games has Denver won on the road this series? Let's just break that down.
They won Game 1.
They won Game 1. They lost Game 3.
their 2 wins are at home.
Their 2 wins were at home. Well, it's 3-3, so
Yeah.
All
2 at
three
home,
of-
1 on the road.
okay, 2 at home, 1 on the road. You just got to win 1 more on the road. They win.
Say the same thing about the Thunder. Just got to win 1 more at home.
So I think the difference between OKC and Denver is I trust Jokic and Jamal Murray over any 2 on OKC.
I agree with that sentiment, and I feel like the way Jamal played today was emphatic. The fact that he was questionable to play, I think we all understood he was going to play in this elimination game, and he played excellent. But there's always a variance with this Nugget team. Both
And he had
teams
the
in
flu.
series, I know.
So he's
Both
going to play
teams-
better Sunday.
We'll see, hopefully. Both
I mean,
teams in the series are shooting
be a thing.
33 and 32% from three, respectively. So that's an important thing to monitor. If it's an ugly game, that's where you really want those gritty forwards like Gordon to stay healthy, win on the glass, and win on the margins. So I do have a lot of optimism that Jokic and Jamal will play well. It's just a matter of how much support you're getting from guys like Russ. And Julian Strother was excellent today. I don't expect that for Game 7.
Yeah. Russ
OKC
gave you some-
won Game 5 with Lou Dort hitting 3 threes in the fourth and Denver going 1 for 15 in the fourth.
Sure.
I think Denver playing their full guys for 40 plus minutes in this game in Game 7 on Sunday. I just got them. This is my gut feeling. I have them. I'm going with them.
And you could say in what was the game 5, was it? No, 1, 2, 3. Game 3 when they shit their pants and like Denver still has to go into overtime to beat them. Like they can't hit a shot in the fourth quarter and they still have to go into overtime. Like you could say other things.
But for the most part, OKC's offense, there's less of a cohesive process to it. That's why they struggle that way. So I feel like OKC struggles have more so been the personnel issues that are on full display and not having a true playmaker that can dissect the zone consistently and shot makers that can hit the shots. With Denver, I think their offensive approach is much more sound. Their process is always pretty much correct. And Jokic, out of that short roll when it gets doubled, that pocket pass to the dunker spot or that corner three, that's open. And if Julian Strother is going to give you valuable minutes where he's going to be standing there and he's going to be able to shoot the ball, that's huge.
On that?
Or that, I believe in Julian Strother. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Because you know what? After the Game 5 loss, I basically told people that I was on Player's Choice, but I said, I think Julian Strother really needs to step up. And instead of believing him and saying, I think he will, because he's going to get opportunity, I didn't say nothing because Julian Strother, that sounds crazy. He hasn't been good all series. No, I think this was a confidence booster for him. And I think he's ready for the moment. It's no different than anybody on OKC that's in their second year, that's in this moment. He's in the same moment as them. He's just as young and inexperienced.
Fair enough.
John, I'm disappointed.
I'm just trying to reverse the jinx because it feels like every time I've taken the Nuggets, they've lost in this series.
And you know what, John? Even if Aaron Gordon isn't out there, I still got Denver.
That's good.
He's got Denver no matter what.
I got Denver either way. I'm not saying, oh yeah, if Aaron Gordon is not there, yeah, I got OKC. No, I'm sticking to a stance. I'm picking a side.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm doing.
I'm glad you are.
I told you OKC was inexperienced.
Proud of you.
I told you. So let's get into the super chats. Des Brown goes, a few lives ago, Moran said Hallie's top 15. Jokic, SGA, Giannis, Luka, Curry, Brunson, Ant, Cade, Paolo, Embiid, Kawhi, Bron, KD, Book, D-Mitch, AD, Tatum, Wemby, Trey. I think he's better than Trey. I think he's better than Cade. I think he's better than Paolo. I think he's better than Embiid.
Embiid feels crazy, respectfully.
It's so tough. I wouldn't say over Embiid, but it's tough because it feels like he's not going to get back to that MVP level.
Yeah, if you're telling me who would I want for the next 3 years, Embiid or Hallie, I'm not really thinking much about it.
Jay goes, appreciate you guys doing live reactions after the games. We appreciate you, Jay. We appreciate that, Jay. John, just talk to me just as a friend. Just let's all talk in this circle, inner circle right now. Have you not watched Denver games over the past couple of this series? And have you not gotten that feeling inside your chest? The feeling that you might be on the verge of witnessing what could be an all-time great playoff run from Nikola Jokic if he caps this off with the title? Has that thought not entered your brain?
It was so tough because the last few games, it was the toughest that he's played in his MVP era. And I felt like the last couple, especially today, he's gotten back to that level, which we expect him this postseason. If you win Game 7 and you go to Minnesota next round, we saw him kill, and then Game 7 last year, they end up losing. So I think it's a possibility, but I take it game by game. And this playoff run, it feels like they're playing with house money since firing Michael Malone. I didn't have them being this Oklahoma City team. I took the Thunder in 6 games. And right now, he has surprised me. I feel like his 40-point performance and 15 rebounds kind of reminded me that he's still capable of this against the best defense. But to me, honestly, Joel, I'm just worried about Game 7. I'm not thinking about the finals. I'm not thinking about the conference finals. It's one game at a time.
One game. Spoken like a true
politician,
basketball intellectual.
I can't look ahead to a potential game if we
You
can't win
you
it.
can't win 9 games in one, Joel. You got to take it one at a time.
Because I've been watching Denver in possessions, and I'm just like, I might be witnessing something special. That's what I might be witnessing.
I don't quite, even though they could win the finals, don't get me wrong, but they haven't felt like this. Holy shit, this is an historic team we're witnessing. They don't get that.
All time great players always have a run that really cements them. You can argue it's 2023 for Jokic, although in that run they didn't beat a 50-win team, and that's going to be something that gets pointed at. If in this run he beats a 50-win team and a 68-win team and another 50-win team in Minnesota, I think they won 50 games. I'm not sure. If not, it's in the high 40s for sure. And then in the finals, another 50-win team. I mean, yeah, that it feels very Jokic cementing-esque. He went through the gauntlet. He went through the ringer. He went into Game 7 into OKC after losing last year in Game 7 and said, "There's no way I'm losing. I'm the best player in the world." Do you believe he's the best player in the world, John?
That I've never wavered on that thought.
So what are you waiting on?
Just because
I'm waiting on the injury report to come out to see whether or not Aaron Gordon's playing in Game 7. That's what I'm waiting on.
Okay,
so better, Joel, Luka or Ant-Man?
Luka.
Then why did the Lakers lose?
It's a team game.
Exactly. Just because Jokic is the best in the world, the best.
The Nuggets have a similar team to the OKC.
I mean, we thought the Lakers and Wolves were tiers apart from each other. No.
Yes, the Wolves roster was much better.
Not, Joel.
The Wolves roster was much better. Yes, absolutely, it was.
Looking back on it now, sure, but entering that series, we were not saying.
I did too.
I thought they were better back then. I said, listen,
and you picked the damn Lakers
because of clutch time, because of Luka and LeBron. That's it. But not because of the role players. That the Nuggets right now, their depth has kind of been playing similarly to OKC.
What are you trying to twist out of John here? What are you trying to get out of his mouth?
I know he believes Denver's gonna win. He just doesn't want to say it because he's cowardice. He doesn't want to put voodoo and jinx in the air. There's no jinx. It's gonna happen or it's not, John.
I'm a hyper aware man, and I'm aware of what you've been doing this postseason. I think it's been very much against my Denver Nuggets.
So if the injury report comes out and Aaron Gordon, he's good to go for Sunday, am I gonna get a text from John saying Denver in 7?
When they won in Game 7 last round, we sat up here, and you asked me a final thought, and I told you it was Denver in 7. Always. If Aaron Gordon's healthy, you best believe I'm around, my guys.
You picked OKC before the series, no?
Yeah, but I was around the emotional high of the first round. I said the Nuggets in 7, and then I came to some analysis at Thunder in 6. But
so you picked the Thunder in this series, correct? Based on what you've seen through 6 games, you've seen me. I'm jumping over the ledge. I'm going to the other side. Dell's is staying with OKC.
I went to Thunder.
It's funny. You've been going back
to Denver. I'm going to Denver.
A quarter in a Game 5, you said the series was over. Oklahoma and then yesterday you're telling me the Nuggets didn't have a chance. Today, we're recording today, told me they didn't have a chance.
What's the most amount of flips he's had, John? Is 3 flips in one series the most we've seen?
Arguable, yeah.
It's up there.
Yeah,
it's because you want to know why? You want to know why, John? I thought OKC would beat Denver in Game 6, and I was wrong. I don't see OKC with how young they are beating Denver in Game 7. I don't care if it's at home. That's a high pressure game, no matter where you're playing. So are you jumping on this ledge with me?
If the Nuggets are healthy, give me Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray in Game 7.
Yes, John.
I like to hear it, John.
Yes. Put some bass in that voice, John.
John, I mean, wouldn't you rather go out with your team? You know what I mean?
I did last postseason.
No, absolutely. But that's how you should. That's how I feel.
But you were shocked. You had no idea Minnesota was going to beat Denver. But you want to know who did? Me. Let a wink. Our teams are facing in the West Conference Finals, John.
4 hours ago.
Our teams is crazy.
John versus Joel. Xavier blanks. Minnesota versus OKC or Denver. Who advances to the finals? I got Minnesota. I got the Timberwolves going to the finals.
That'd be such a good series. It's tough for me because we saw this play out last year, and Minnesota got the better of them. I feel like Minnesota's better this year, and Denver might be slightly worse. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens game 7. But I'll probably say Minnesota. I think right now they're the best team left in the postseason.
I think if it's OKC Minnesota, I would take OKC. I think if it's Denver Minnesota, I'd take Minnesota.
Okay, make your predictions now, fellas. Do we get good games from J-Dub and Chet in game 7?
I do believe we do get a good one from J-Dub. The variance has been, the floor has been so low. I feel like it's bound to come back to the mean.
I think you get a good game from one of them. Don't ask me who.
I kind of, maybe I'm crazy, but I'm kind of feeling a better J-Dub game.
He's due. He's had some. What was the stat? He's 10 for 42, John, last
43
game.
Like, he is due.
What if he goes 15 for 55? You know, you never know.
He could.
So I don't know. I wouldn't. You know what? I think we get a bad game from both.
Well, yeah. If you got Denver winning, you probably have to have a stinker from one of them.
I don't think we get an efficient game from either of them.
Chet had an efficient game tonight, but he's been kind of up and down.
But he was bad from 3. He didn't shoot well from 3.
He hasn't been good from 3 all series.
No, man. This is tough, dude. This is tough.
I'm just happy we get a game 7 because Sunday there's no basketball on Saturday. There's no basketball on Sunday. I'm just happy we get at least one more game from this series. Well, not at least one more game. There's no game 8, you know?
No.
I will say the feeling in my stomach, it's kind of turning for OKC a little bit. I can feel it for them.
Okay. We got another super chat. I can't deal with this.
I can feel it. Yaya Jallo goes, I know I asked this question yesterday, but do you guys think Cooper can be an offensive number 1? Well, yeah, he can be LeBron James, according to John.
Yeah, I was going to say his offensive ceiling reminds me of like, shit, I don't know.
He's a combination of like Larry Bird, LeBron, and Magic Johnson, and Christian Laettner.
I do believe he can be. I feel like we need to see a little more growth, of course, as a shooter. And we saw that throughout this year, and as a ball handler too. But I would say right now the best aspect of his game would be his playmaking and his feel for the game. I think it gives him very high floor. We talked about it last night, but that Arizona game specifically, what we saw and where he was able to completely take over despite Caleb Love playing fantastic on the other side of the NCAA tournament, I think that kind of put in perspective for me that he can be number 1 at the next level. And I think it starts with his feel.
100%. I think he's going to be a great player. And John is very high on another prospect in this draft.
I am. I also got a rap for Dylan Harper too. I used to play against him from Jersey. It's hard to not root for him. You know,
I used to give him work.
I was way older. I'm 3 years older. So our AAU team.
I was little bro in him.
No. My AAU coach, his son played with Dylan Harper, and so we'd scrimmage against them. We're all high schoolers going up against 8th grade.
How did that go?
You give him work.
Yeah, I mean, we won by like 45-50, but it was kind of a powerful moment too. My coach was like, this isn't for you guys. This is for you guys to pay homage or kind of help the next generation grow. Because when you're their age, you're playing against kids who are older and better than you. And that helped you get to where you were as a player. So it was kind of a cool moment.
You're an Ace Bailey guy too, right?
I like Ace. I think he's a raw prospect, but.
Is there anyone you hate in this class?
Yeah, I'm not a big Casper Quinones fan, but.
Yeah. I
wouldn't say hate.
You usually get up for these exciting whites, man.
I'm objective, man.
I'm objectively biased.
I could be biased, but it's very rare.
All right, well, that's gonna do it. I'm glad that John made his Denver in 7 pick. He joins me with Denver in 7. Denver in 7, and Dell's is sticking with OKC in 6. Now, guys, in the comments, make sure you guys like the stream and also drop in the chat who you got for Game 7, Denver or OKC. We're going to be in the studio Saturday recording a full episode in person. That's going to be nice. We'll be back here tomorrow after the Knicks and Celtics Game 6 game where the Knicks take care of business and end up victorious and move on to the conference finals. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Peace.